Welcome to my channel, Coin Worth Million Today. Video is one you won't to miss. We're diving into the world of coins, top 5-cent Canada coin 1972. So let's get it started. The 1972 Canadian 5-cent coin, often simply referred to as the nickel, is a small but significant artifact of Canadian history, economic life, and national identity. Though unassuming in size and often overlooked in circulation, this particular coin represents not only a means of exchange, but also a reflection of the broader cultural, economic, and political milieu of early 1970s Canada. From its iconic beaver design to the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, and from its metallurgical composition to its significance within Canadian numismatics, the 1972 nickel encapsulates more than just monetary value. It tells a story of a nation navigating modernity while grounded in tradition. Let us begin with the design, arguably the most recognizable aspect of the 5-cent coin. The reverse of the 1972 Canadian nickel features a detailed image of a beaver, an animal deeply associated with Canadian history, culture, and economy. This design was created by artist G.E. Kruger Gray, whose initials, KG, appear just beneath the beaver. The beaver is shown atop a rock, busily chewing or building, an allegorical reference to industriousness, persistence, and survival through harsh conditions. The choice of the beaver was not accidental. This animal was central to the fur trade, which was the economic foundation of early Canadian colonial history, and responsible in large part for European interest and settlement in the region. By 1972, the beaver had long been a symbol of Canada, but its presence on the 5-cent coin reaffirmed the enduring appreciation for natural resilience and hard work, values that were foundational to the Canadian ethos. Above the beaver appears the inscription 5 cents, denoting the face value of the coin. Encircling the upper perimeter is the name of the issuing country, Canada, and at the bottom, the year of issue, 1972. The overall layout is symmetrical and clean, with the central image dominating the visual field, while the text is proportionally balanced. It is a design that had been in use since 1937, replacing an earlier fish-scale style coin and initiating a more modern, nationally relevant motif. This design has remained essentially unchanged for decades, testifying to its popularity and iconic status. Turning to the obverse side, one finds the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right and wearing a tiara. This portrait was designed by Arnold Machine, a British sculptor whose depiction of the Queen was used not just in Canada, but also on the coins and stamps of numerous Commonwealth nations. It first appeared on Canadian coins in 1965, and the 1972 nickel continued its usage. The portrait is elegant and stylized, representing a youthful queen and symbolizing Canada's status as a constitutional monarchy under the British Crown. Surrounding the portrait are the words Elizabeth II de Regina, which is a Latin abbreviation meaning Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen. This inscription reflects both religious and governmental aspects of the monarchy, embodying a continuity of authority, tradition, and reverence that remained central to Canadian identity, even during a period of burgeoning independence and nationalism in the 1970s. From a metallurgical standpoint, the 1972 Canadian 5-cent coin was composed of nickel, a material that had been used in Canadian 5-cent pieces since 1922. Specifically, these coins were made of 99.9% nickel, giving them a silvery appearance, durability, and slight magnetic properties. The use of pure nickel made the coins relatively heavy for their size, with a diameter of 21.2 mm and a thickness of approximately 1.76 mm, weighing in at 4.54 grams. Unlike many contemporary coins made of cupro-nickel or clad metals, the pure nickel composition made the 1972 coin valuable, not only in terms of face value, but also in its intrinsic metal content, something that would later affect the decision to change its composition due to rising nickel prices in the subsequent decades. In terms of mintage, the Royal Canadian Mint produced a substantial quantity of the 1972 5-cent coins, Over 67 million pieces were struck for general circulation. This high mintage means that the 1972 nickel is not particularly rare in today's numismatic market. However, coins in pristine condition, those graded as mint state MS or in uncirculated rolls, still hold value for collectors. These coins are especially prized when they exhibit full strikes, minimal contact marks, and lustrous finishes. Some examples of 1972 nickels can even show minor die variations or minting anomalies, though none have been confirmed as highly significant varieties by mainstream grading companies such as PCGS or NGC. Still, for many collectors, the 1972 coin remains a nostalgic item and a staple in assembling date runs of Canadian nickels. The context in which the coin was circulated is also of interest. In 1972, Canada was experiencing a period of social transformation. The country was modernizing rapidly, with increasing urbanization, immigration, and cultural pluralism. At the same time, it was seeking to assert its own identity distinct from British colonial roots. This was the era of Pierre Elliott Trudeau's leadership, the rise of bilingualism, and increased focus on Canadian unity amid regional and linguistic differences. Currency, an everyday object passed hand to hand, carried subtle messages of identity. While the monarchy remained on the coinage, the reverse design spoke to distinctly Canadian themes, like the beaver, the rugged outdoors, and the industrious national character. It's also worth considering the coin's place in Canadian numismatic evolution. The early 1970s marked the tail end of the use of high-purity nickel for coins, as the cost of the metal was increasing due to global demand, particularly in industrial sectors. By the 1980s, the Royal Canadian Mint would begin to switch to plated steel for many denominations, drastically reducing production costs. Thus, coins like the 1972 nickel represent a period of traditional minting practices before the onset of more economically driven metallurgical choices. In this way, the 1972 nickel stands as a final chapter in the era of heavier, more metallically valuable coinage. In addition to its economic and historical context, the 1972 Canadian 5-cent coin is also an excellent example of minting technology. At the time, the Royal Canadian Mint, known for its high standards and innovative practices, used traditional die engraving and striking methods during this period. Each coin was struck under high pressure to ensure the fine details of the beaver. Water ripples, fur texture, and Queen's portrait were transferred crisply onto the planche. Over time, the dies would wear, leading to slight variations in strike quality, something that collectors often analyze when assessing the quality of a particular piece. From a collector's perspective, the 1972 nickel holds more sentimental and educational value than financial. It is frequently included in collections designed to represent a full set of nickels from the 20th century. Because it is widely available, it serves as an ideal entry point for beginners in Canadian numismatics. Children who grew up in the 1970s or 1980s often recall the 1972 nickel as part of their early experiences with money, saving nickels in piggy banks, using them in vending machines, or spending them on candy or comic books. In this sense, the coin occupies not just pockets and wallets, but memory and imagination. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in coin collecting, partly driven by the digital age's easy access to numismatic knowledge and auction sites. While the 1972 nickel has not emerged as a highly sought-after rarity, its role in complete year sets, educational programs, and historical exhibits remains significant. Schools and museums occasionally use the coin to illustrate aspects of Canadian history, economy, and sovereignty. Additionally, the coin's full nickel composition has piqued interest among metal recyclers, though the face value often outweighs the scrap value. Lastly, the 1972 Canadian 5-cent coin can be viewed as a microcosm of national identity. It merges the old and the new, the British monarchy with Canadian wildlife, imperial imagery with local industry, and classical Latin with the image of a uniquely Canadian symbol. It circulated widely during a decade of cultural change and remains in the hands of collectors, historians and average citizens as a tangible piece of the past. Though it may no longer shine as brightly as when first minted, the 1972 nickel continues to carry meaning far beyond its monetary value. A durable, everyday reminder of a nation shaped by nature, history, and people. Like and subscribe this video.